welcome to the newly renamed Lyrics Codex. I'm Tom, and together, you and me, we're going to take a journey through a song that really captured a moment in time. And that moment in time was the year 1977. I know the last three songs I've done have been either written or released in 1977. I know it's not all going to be that way, but for now, just bear with me because I think this is a good one. So the year was 1977. The world economy was struggling to rebound on the heels of a massive recession, the malingering effects of which were often most prominent in major cities. One city stands out, though, in which this palpable desperation was the most obvious, or at least the most extensively documented. A city strung so thin that it experienced a literal meltdown into a sweltering period of feral, chaotic darkness in 1977. New York City. Now that same year, in France, the three brothers Gibb, Barry, Robin, and Maurice, the founding members of the BeeGees, were tasked with writing the theme song for a movie then in production. The movie, which would later be named Saturday Night Fever, featured a then young up-and-comer by the name of John Travolta, who, along with his band of merry knuckleheads, would attempt to make ends meet in the city that never sleeps, while retaining some air of youthful recklessness among the alluring, and sometimes dangerous, emergence of the disco scene. During this writing period, the movie was called Saturday Night. Now, the Gibbs were pressured to name the song after the movie as an obvious tie-in, but they refused, having met with a glut of songs that were already named Saturday Night. They also felt the title was corny. Then, when the name of the movie was changed to Saturday Night Fever, they were again pressured to adopt the name. Having already written a song for the soundtrack entitled Night Fever, though, they again declined. They felt the themes ran deeper than that. They were writing about a lifestyle and a city in a state of despair, one in which the measure of a person's success was reduced below amassed wealth, or even stability. The city is obsessed with the veneer of vanity and excess as New York. The true feat of strength underneath it all was simply stay alive. Now, I know you've heard this song 1,000 times, and disco is not a genre that's necessarily associated with much more than flash and gimmick. I get it. It's a real you had to be there type of thing. This song was so immensely popular, in fact, that the first time you probably heard it was in a segment that was parodying disco itself. And look, that's all well and fine, but the lyrics are actually probably a lot deeper than you thought they were. So without any further ado, let's get into it. You can tell by the way I use my walk. I'm a woman's man, no time to talk. Music loud and women warm. I've been kicked around since I was born. Here, our narrator begins with immediate braggadocio. The first four lines are intentionally arrogant, bordering on insufferably cocky, but the last line begs an implicit question. No time to talk about what? It's easy to dismiss it in the context of the stanza. He's just an arrogant jerk trying to navigate his way through a swooning crowd, gushing over even his walk. But just keep it in the back of your mind for now, because it's possible to view it in a different context later. Music loud and women warm are the way this Casanova likes things, but the contrast of the following two lines, been kicked around since I was born, suggests the loud music and warm women are a crutch, a numbing agent used as a distraction from this pain. Also interesting is the dichotomy of enjoying warm women as an escape for having been kicked around since emerging from the womb. But let's move on for now. I don't want this cool guy to possibly overhear us talking about him. It's all right. It's okay. You might look the other way. And we can try to understand the New York Times effect on man. Hey, guess what? If you don't like the cut of our narrator's jib, go jump in a lake, pal. Better yet, hey, why don't you go catch a butterfly and then fly with it, huh? Is what you thought this part meant. You might look the other way, meaning if you already had an unflattering opinion of our narrator, as he admits understandably might be the case, you won't be inclined to care. But we, those of us actually listening to him, can try and understand. But what is it we're trying to understand? Just what is the New York Times effect on man? Now, this line has been the subject of debate for years, with varying levels of scrutiny that get downright preposterous. And if I'm saying that, you know it's wild. Oddly enough, I believe this line to be fairly straightforward. The New York Times is accepted nationwide as the standard of up-to-date journalism, being based in New York, the biggest city in the country, in the earliest time zone, with their finger on the pulse of every issue, and I mean every issue, from breaking news, to fashion, to style, to popular culture, you name it. Imagine a city of people already stretched thin, teetering on the brink, feeling as though they have to internalize this kind of up-to-the-minute awareness of all the threads with which their circumstances are together weaved, all while maintaining this aura of being coolly unaffected. Yeah, now I see why I didn't have time to talk about it. That's a lot on a person's plate. Whether you're a brother or whether you're a mother, you're staying alive. Feel the city breaking and everybody shaking, and we're staying alive. So by now you get the picture being painted, so let's keep going. Well, now, I get low and I get high, and if I can't get either, I really try. I got the wings of heaven on my shoes, I'm a dancing man, and I just can't lose. Now let's get one thing out of the way first. These lines are indeed obvious allusions to drug use. However, they do have an alternate meaning, and based on what we heard before, we know it's not a reference to the narrator's state of mood. If he can't get low or high, he really tries to feel one or the other. That would mean feeling something bad is preferable to him than feeling nothing at all, which contradicts the previous lines concerning loud music and warm women. Instead, it's a little more on the nose. He's talking about dancing. The next part is more interesting. Wings of heaven on his shoes is a reference to the Greek god Hermes, or the Roman god Mercury, who is known for his winged sandals called talaria. Fun fact, did you know that Mercury is the protector of, among other things, salesmen? In fact, the words merchant and commerce both come as derivations of his name. There you go. There's a Jeopardy answer for you free of charge. You're welcome. Now, Hermes is the messenger of the gods, so he has to be really fast. New York Times fast. Which is why his sandals have wings on them to help him be even faster, I suppose. But he can also switch instantly between the worlds of the divine and the mortal, which strongly elucidates the line not only in reference to the song, but to the movie as well. For those who haven't seen it, John Travolta is a local ne'er-do-well who lives for Saturday nights, when he and his band of misfits go to the discotheque and forget about their problems through rabid dancing. He gets Carrie Lynn Gorney, a talented, upstanding girl from an affluent family, to be his dance partner for a competition. Now, like our song's narrator, dancing, women, loud music, all of this could be construed as his world of the divine, or at least divine as he sees it, where all is perfect. And if only for a fleeting weekend evening, he can shift from the dismal realm of mortality, the staying alive part, to a realm of Olympian perfection. In following that metaphor, the narrator is then relaying to us the tales of those two worlds and their bittersweet intersection in his experience. But it's all right. It's okay. I'll live to see another day, and we can try to understand the New York Times effect on man. You'll notice a different line this time around, with a slightly more optimistic take on the situation. But as we delve into the next line, in the bridge after the chorus, the narrator's own belief in that statement is called into question. Life going nowhere. Somebody help me. The cycle of drudging through a dismal week only to spend every last ounce of energy and, presumably, every dollar in his pocket for Saturday night is not an uplifting one. It leaves our narrator feeling trapped in his circumstances, surrounded by a populace similarly trapped in theirs, within a lumbering city still faltering under the massive economic burden which has befallen it. And as one zooms out further still, one wonders if the microcosm isn't merely a symptom of the macro. It's as though we're all some kind of sickness or fever. Anyway, yeah, staying alive. And it's all well and good to make fun of the ostentatiousness of disco now. Remember, the reason for its over-exuberant pomp and circumstance wasn't just for fun. It was a momentary escape from a dire reality, one in which there seemed, at the time, to be no end in sight. Now, the 70s were a rough time to be sure. But, as humanity tends to do, we got through it. By the time the 80s rolled around, the economy was roaring again, and the USA was back on top, baby. In the end, that means that society's trivialization of the despair inherent in disco is arguably kind of a good thing, right? If you can look back on something serious and laugh about it, that kind of means you've moved on, doesn't it? And as for the BeeGees, though they were by all accounts a pop rock band, they never could escape the label of disco that had been placed on them with their associations to this movie. Their popularity ended up waning along with that of disco. It seems unfair, right? They had tons of hits before disco. That'd be like if The Weeknd's popularity died out with the resurgence of new wave falling by the wayside. Though that's been going on for almost a decade solid now, so who the hell knows when or if that'll ever happen. But the real gem on top here is that this song has almost a perfect BPM at which to perform CPR. So the beats per minute of this song is 103, and the ideal beats per minute to perform CPR resuscitations is 100. This song can literally be used for staying alive. You can laugh all you want, but one day when you're resuscitated, you might just find yourself indebted to the sharp falsetto and the riveting melodies of the brothers Gibb. And there will be nothing to laugh about. But you'll have to excuse me. I have no time to talk. I'll catch you on the next one.